nachos, and welcome to another edition of that blasphemy we like to call the Major League Minors Show. The only show like it in America talking about the only thing that really matters, and that is semi-pro football. A show that's not hosted by some left-wing wacko or some fake news corporation. I'm your host. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube account at Major League Minors Show. Thank you for coming back with us. Last week we were on the road all the way from Seattle, Washington, driving 2,100 miles to that kissing cousin state of Arkansas. Some of us wrote into our Facebook page and our Instagram asking, why in the world would you go from Seattle all the way to Arkansas? What is in Arkansas? Well, that's for me to know and for you to find out later. Anyway, so we have relocated our studio, the same studio as you see here, just relocated in another area. It's going to be better coverage, and of course there's going to be some special treats for all of us in the PAFA and the MPFL too. You'll see that here really quickly. Anyway, so with our Easter week behind us, it's going to be a fun one. We've had a great clear opportunity to see who's a contender, who's on the fence, and really who's looking for the end of the season to come quicker than normal. So with the week 4 in the PAFA, we saw some major blowouts, and we saw some good games here and there. And the MPFL showed us about the same thing. Nothing unexpected. Got to see some really close games, some major blowouts there as well. And we'll have to come back to that right after this, along with your highlights, predictions, your rankings, and Chisel Adonis after these messages.
Light them up again, baby.
The PAFA had an interesting week 4 previous week going into the Easter bye week. Scores and rankings brought to you by Developmental Football USA. Follow them on Facebook at Developmental Football USA. The Lawton Savages were trying to get their first legitimate win when they traveled to Enid. But the Enforcers had other plans and savagely beat Lawton by a score of 54-6. The next game that we saw was the Oklahoma City Bulls. They took the trip up to I-35 to face off against the Kansas Cougars in Rose Hill. The Cougars once again showed why they're top cat as they toroed the Bulls by a score of 43-6. An unexpected outcome as the Northwest Arkansas battle went to OKC. The Jaguars clawed their way to victory by axing the battle by a skunk of 23-0. And then lastly, the Crusaders caravanned all the way to Tulsa by taking on the #1 Tri-City Panthers. An unexpected loss. I got this one completely wrong. The Crusaders crucified the Panthers by a score of 33 to absolutely nothing. A goose egg that was dropped by the #1 contender, but there's going to be more. But for more on week 4, we're going to send you out to the Hold My Nugget studios in New York with your highlights with Chisel Adonis.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Week 4 PAFA game highlight commentary. First, we have the Northwest Arkansas battle punting the ball back to the Oklahoma City Jaguars. Blackout as the ball is blocked and the Oklahoma City Jags tell the Northwest Arkansas battle you can't shoot bullets with your gun on safety. 2 points for your mistakes. And the Jags take a 2-0 lead. After losing by a point differential of 53 points over the past 2 weeks, the Enid Enforcers are looking to enforce their will all over the Lawton Savages. Frederick Lawrence takes a snap rolling to his right. Is that Michelangelo or the Ninja Turtles? No, it's D'Angelo Williams for a 22-yard touchdown. And in your game of the week, the Tri-City Panthers are taking on the Joplin Crusaders as the ball is intercepted by the Panthers and Josh Walker, and he's off to the races trying to go to McDonald's to get a McPick-6, but unbeknownst to him and the rest of his team, he was called down by contact inside the 5-yard line. This is much like buying an old car and putting a new sound system, a new transmission, a new engine, some tinted windows, only to find out the next day you would crash it and lose your entire car in a total loss. It's all for nothing. The ball's coming back. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma City Bulls are kicking the ball off to winners of 2 straight. The Red red-hot Kansas Cougars. And have no fear, you should only have joy, as the ball's being returned by Big Boy Roy, and he's running down the left side of the sideline for a Kansas Cougars kick return touchdown. Following the safety, the Battle are kicking the ball back to the Jaguars, as the ball's going to be returned by Vincent Panee. And the rumor on the street is he just graduated with an associate's degree from Joshua Cribbs University, and he's showing off his education as he bursts through the hole, and he's going to take it all the way to the end zone for a 74-yard touchdown. Meanwhile in Enid, hey Lawton, what's your favorite pastry? Oh, I love apple turnovers. As the ball's intercepted by Michael Christopher, he's got one man to beat him, much like Michael Jackson. He just beat him. Beat him. Your offensive plays not succeeding. Touchdown Enforcers. Crusaders send out Billy Perry for the field goals, but the Panthers say no field goals for you, as it's blocked. The animal-on-animal violence has not stopped, as the Cougars are absolutely destroying the Bulls for yet another touchdown. The Battle looking to respond after giving up the kick return touchdown, and the quarterback may have been diagnosed with a common cold, because he's coughing up the ball as he fumbles on the play. It's recovered by the Oklahoma City Jaguars, and there's a foot race. He's got his own Secret Service, because he's got a bunch of Jaguars escorting him into the end zone, and he's gonna go all the way for the Jaguars touchdown. But wait a minute, there was a flag on the play. Let's look at the instant replay. Look at the block in the back. This man turned into salt and pepper and pushed it real good. The Oklahoma City Jaguars say, hey, no big deal. It's not like the Battle gonna keep us out the end zone, right? Wrong, as the ball is tipped and it's intercepted by the Northwest Arkansas Battle, as the ball falls into the hands of Shaquille Mobley as he returns it for 12 yards. This could have all been avoided if you didn't block him in the back, you big dummy. Hey Lawton, I know you guys ordered some turnovers earlier, but would you like some chocolate on the side? Yeah, I would. What kind of chocolate would you like? Some Butterfingers. As they fumble on the play, it's recovered by the Enid Enforcers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jeopardy. If there was a man named Clark in the end zone and he needed a man to go on an exploration with, who would it be? The answer is Lewis, as Jamel Lewis gets into the end zone for a 12-yard touchdown. Meanwhile, for the Crusaders, quarterback Steve Hamilton is about to engage in public indecency as he connects with his Johnson for a Crusader touchdown. For the Oklahoma City Bulls, they're still getting beat like a Johnson in solitary confinement on day number 43 with a Playboy magazine, as the Kansas Cougars score yet again. Meanwhile, for the Battle, it seems it's time to go through puberty, because they're about to drop their balls. As they fumble on the play, it's recovered by the Jaguars inside the 5, and the Jaguars would commence to put the Battle to sleep with a QB keep as they go into the end zone for yet another touchdown. Legend has it Pope Urban II is smiling in his grave as the Crusaders are kicking ass yet again, as Steve Hamilton connects with Josh Stewart for a 25-yard touchdown. Let's take one quick look to see what happened in the MPFL this week, where the Austin Vipers absolutely decimated the Arlington Mustangs. For the Vipers, Jermaine Francis would force a fumble. The ball would be picked up by Antonio Jones, and he'd toss it to Keith Griffin for a Dreadlocks collaboration touchdown on a fumble recovery. Next, Ontario Shaw would show the Mustangs some real horsepower as he runs circles around their defense like Dale Earnhardt at the Daytona 500 as he explodes for a 45-yard touchdown for the Vipers. And they would find several different ways to pay mortgage in the end zone of the Mustangs as they're punting the ball back to the Vipers, and they begin to play the cha-cha slide. 2 hops this time, a special teams touchdown, real smooth, as Devontae Roseborough takes the ball 50 yards into the end zone for a punt return touchdown. And the Vipers have exposed their nutsack, and it's time to rub it all over the Arlington Mustangs, as Chase Plord finds D. Allen whispering in the Mustangs defense ear, hold my nuggets, suck my dick. Touchdown Vipers, but it would not stop there. More nuggets would be held, as Chase Plord now finds Terrence Perkins participating in the 10 toes down challenge, who tells the entire Mustang defense on the right side of the field to hold my nuggets, suck my dick. Touchdown Vipers! Did you think the vehicular abuse of the Mustangs would stop? Not at all! As Moss Mays gets the handoff and says, with the power of dreadlocks, I can reign supreme in the sport of football. As he's off to the races for a 57-yard touchdown for the Austin Vipers. Somebody called the insurance provider of the Arlington Mustangs because they've got to claim a total loss. They've completely lost the game, 64-0. This concludes our coverage of the MPFL. Let's get right back in to the PAFA. And it seems the Oklahoma City Bulls will be joining the Me Too movement because they're still getting absolutely assaulted. The Jaguars opened their Bibles to Hair Chronicles 2 verses 37. You could run around in the pocket all day. That won't stop the Dreadlocks from taking the ball away as it's intercepted and returned to the 46-yard line. Back in Enid, Raheem Mitchell gets the handoff. He spreads the defense of the Savages and sodomizes them for a touchdown. But the Savages look to respond. They cut open their chest, they reach into their Owen Hart, and they say enough is enough, and it's time for a change. and they get themselves on the board just before halftime. They're still losing 38-6 though. The Panther defense must be trapped in a traffic jam and still on the bus because they're not at the stadium yet as Tevin Gibson gets into the end zone. For the Kansas Cougars, Reggie Langford takes the snap, stepping in the pocket, throws the ball to his left. It's caught by Michael Lindsey, who shakes a couple of defenders out of their cleats. You thought he was running across the field? Gotcha, bitch. Lindsey pays tribute to Dave Chappelle, gets a block, and runs it all the way into the end zone for a Kansas Cougars touchdown. And the domination continues for the Jaguars as Charles Shelburne bangs it into the end zone for a Jaguars touchdown. And the Jaguars would win 23-0. One quick look at the Oklahoma City Bulls, and oh no, the Kansas Cougars may have killed them. The final score, 43-6. Entering the second half, the Savages are trying to create a comeback, but the quarter may have changed, but things remain the same as the Bulls intercepted by Squire Logan IV. And can I get a pick six? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Destroying the Savages in this bitch. Touchdown enforcers. The Panthers desperately looking for points as Garrett Griffiths takes the snap, rolling to his left. He's got his man Deion Hawkins, but before the game, he was eating some butterfingers as he fumbles on the play. It's picked up by Trayvon Simmons, and he's running down the sideline, and it seems he's trying to make a house call. But Marcel Miller does not like landlines as he tackles him at the 28-yard line. And the Crusaders pay a visit to the football embassy and turn the turnover into points as Steve Hamilton connects with Tevin Gibson for yet another Joplin Crusaders touchdown. Meanwhile, in Enid, the enforcers are looking to put the game away as Frederick Lawrence connects with Chris Campbell. Bam! Truck stick for one man. Oh, wait a minute. He's got another. Bam! Truck stick for another man. Chris Campbell, chicken noodle, killed the Savages savagely as the Savages fall to the enforcers 54-6. And with the game out of reach, Sheldon Houston throws the ball, but Nicholas Vanderbilt's not done with the scoring. He wants that house call for the defense as he runs it into the end zone for a pick six. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. The Panthers are no longer undefeated in this shit. Touchdown Crusaders, and the game is over.
They trash. This is what we do. They trash. Get them out of here. They trash. They trash. Show them the scoreboard. What the scoreboard say?
33-0. Everybody got blown out like an elderly man's hip at a Zumba class. So for the Savages, the battle, the Bulls and the Panthers get aboard the L train.
Always entertaining and fun to watch. You should catch the Chisel Adonis Show on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or his YouTube account at Chiseled Adonis. You have to see it. His other commentary is just hilarious. I watch it on a weekly basis. I laugh my butt off. Speaking of comments, that brings us to this week's Player of the Week. Awards brought to you by Images and Tile. Murals for your home or office. And what better way to reflect and capture your glory years in semi-pro football with a mural? Contact our friends at imagesandtile.com. Our Offensive Player of the Week award goes to number 9 of the Joplin Crusaders, quarterback Stephen Hamilton. Hamilton has thrown 613 yards with 4 touchdowns, leading the Crusaders to an unbeaten season. Next up, our Defensive Player of the Week is Christian Case, strong safety out of the Northwest Arkansas Battle. Case, who wears number 26, has recorded 30 tackles in 3 games, 12 solo, 18 assists. Congratulations to our Players of the Week. And that will take us to this week's matchups and predictions brought to you by T-Lake Apparel Company. For all your uniform and merchandising needs, contact our friends at T-Lake and ask them about the Major League Minor discount. It could be huge. It could be big, depending on how big your order is. Our first game is a lock of the week on this one. And of course, as always, our lock of the weeks this week and the past 2 weeks have been against the Lawton Savages. But this week, the OKC Jaguars will travel down to the Iowa Park, Texas for a rematch against the Lawton Savages. This one is going to get ugly real quick. Hopefully they can keep their composure and maybe they can keep it closer. But I predict this one a complete blowout by a score of 63-0. Our second game is going to be broadcasted by our partners at the Springdale Sports Network. And yours truly will be in the front office, actually in the front of the camera, I should say, taking care of the color commentating role. We'll put up the link on our social media outlets so you can enjoy the OKC Bulls taking on the Northwest Battle. This game could be a close one in the first half, but I give this one a 14-point advantage to the Battle by a score of 28-14. That brings us to this game of the week for this week. Now the feature for this week is going to be a repeat of week 4 when the Tri-City Panthers hop on I-44 to Joplin to take on the Crusaders for the second time. I don't think the Panthers are going to give up as many points, so look for a tighter game. But I think, as we saw in week 4, Joplin's going to sweep this one, I think, by a score of 21-7. A special thanks goes to our graphics and design partner, Rydell Cases, who's been producing our graphics for this week and the past couple weeks. And I'll tell you, he's been doing some really great work. This week, he was able to do it all on his own. This is his own graphics. If you would like to see some of your work on his work, check it out. Get a hold of Rydell. Team photos, it doesn't matter. Player photos, contact Rydell. We're going to put his link below on our Facebook and our Instagram. Check him out. I think you guys will be pleasantly surprised. Now we'll be right back with the MPFL right after these messages.
Whether it's 3 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon, Thunder Bail Bonds is here for you. We understand that you are facing one of the most difficult situations you or your loved ones may have ever dealt with. We will do everything in our power to make sure you or your loved ones are released from jail as soon as possible. Thunder Bail Bonds is the highest reviewed bail bonds company in the Oklahoma City metro area. Give us a call today to find out why, or check out our additional videos and content. Call your always timely, professional, and courteous bail bondsman, Frank Delozier, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Week 4 and 5 in the MPFL was pretty much what you would expect. Some major blowouts, some tight games, a couple of tight unexpected games. But let's get right into all the scores and rankings brought to you by Developmental Football USA. Austin did exactly what we thought. In fact, we were only off by 1 point in our last week's predictions, or the previous week's predictions, by 1 point with the score of 64-0. The Stampede trampled all over the DFW Reign as they continue its dominance by a score of 48-6. A tight game between the West Texas Pride and the Lubbock Liberty Eagles, but with the Pride squeaking by a final score of 27-26. Now it was the War Eagles that stomped the Tarantulas barefoot, but they were able to manage by a score of 38-27. The Dallas Vikings jammed the Bullets in a hard-fought game as they came away with a close one by a score of 19-18. And that'll take us to this week's MPFL predictions. These predictions are brought to you by Recon Security Services. Don't go unprotected at your next event. Contact our friends, the pros, at Recon Security Services. The Amarillo Horned Frogs are going to head to New Mexico to take on the Otero Desert Dogs. The Dog Pound will eat the Frogs alive by a score of 24-7. The Sun City Reapers will visit the West Texas Pride. We predict an upset on this one. I know people are going to think, oh my goodness, what the heck is going on here? He has lost his mind. But we think the Reapers are going to sacrifice the Pride by a score of 35-26. That'll bring up the Raptors and the Rhinos. This one should be a tight game. But I think Denton County will come away with a 3-point favorite in this one by a score of 24-21. DeSoto will travel to Dallas to face off against the Vikings. The Vikings are on a mission this season. They will continue this conquest and win by a score of 24-7. Now, this will bring it to this week's MPFL Game of the Week, which will feature the Texas War Eagles at Austin. The Vipers are going to be way too much. They're going to be too venomous for the Eagles. They're going to win this one big by a score of 34-6. And that'll take us to our segment with this MPFL CEO, our friend J.C. Kimmey.
Thanks again for having me, Chris. Hope you and the family have settled into your new digs. Last week was a league-wide bye week with a few exceptions in the MPFL. We had one rescheduled game mixed in there, but it being a bye week for the remaining 17 teams gave us all a chance to stop and take a breath and reflect on the week that was prior to the bye week. Of course, no show or report from us in the week following the week previous to the bye week. So a little bit to catch up on there. Really an outstanding opportunity for us in the MPFL to catch our breath with this bye week based on what happened in the week prior to it, in which we had 3 games each decided by 1 point, a couple coming down to the final play or plays in the game. And it really speaks to the tremendous level of competition here in the MPFL, and the fact that these teams all in the offseason, young, veteran, established, expansion, so forth, have all raised their level of play going into this 2018 season. Now, a lot of people have kind of speculated that with the way some of the games went down, over that week 4 of the MPFL season, that maybe there was a little bit of a changing of the guard. And again, props to teams that were able to break through and get victories, against established opponents and so forth, in that. But the fact of the matter is that comeuppance is only a week away in the MPFL, and these teams that were able to get wins early in the season might not want to take the opponent that they got the win over off the radar completely, because there is a greater than 0 chance that you will see one another again in the playoffs, with the loser going home at that point. So ultimately, it's what we've always tried to do over here and have been blessed and had great success with, and that's making the regular season mean something and setting up an even better playoff run postseason for our players, our coaches, our owners, our teams, and the fans that brave the elements, come out and watch us play on a week-to-week basis. Again, competition is what it's about over here in the MPFL, and I know that we're not the only league that's germane to. We just kind of feel the need to hammer that home and reinforce it. And ultimately, it's not because I say it. It's look no further than the teams themselves. So the boys get right back into it this weekend, coming off of the bye. And be sure to go to www.thempfl.com to catch locations of games in your area, as well as stats, updates, and so forth on the MPFL. Thanks again for having me, Chris. This is MPFL CEO JC Kimmey signing off, and we will see you next week on Major League Minor.
Well, that's our show, folks. Tune in next week as we cover scores, highlights, predictions, everything in between the MPFL and the PAFA. Make sure you tune into our Facebook and our YouTube account, as we're going to go ahead and link up that live stream game free to you guys. Just check us out. My ugly mug is going to be behind the microphone and, of course, in front of the camera. Good luck. Watch out. Watch us next week. We'll bring you everything that you need to know on the next Major League Minor show.